Today I'd like to introduce you to knife making by making a blacksmith knife. Blacksmith knives they're a fun project to make. The blade and the handle are all made out of the same piece of steel. We're going to start by forging the blade and then the handle, and we'll go through all the steps. You can get kind of creative with these. You can put a little twist in them, a little swirl down here. You can make a plain blade like this one. You can shorten the blade up, put a little bit bigger handle on it like this one. You can curve the blade. There's a lot of things you can do with this and just have fun with it. So let's get started. First thing you're going to need is some material. This is W1. It's a 1/4 inch thick. It's 3/4 inches wide, and it's 6 inches long. We're going to need a chisel of some sort just to mark this piece, and then we're going to need a butcher tool. And this butcher tool is going to look like this. We're going to use this tool to separate the blade from the handle. You also need a pair of tongs to grab your material. I'm using these knife tongs, and what's nice about these is I can grab it by this end, and after I forge the blade, I'll be able to use the same pair of tongs to grab it by the blade end, so I only need one pair of tongs. Okay? Let's go on to the next step. Okay, we've got our material is 6 inches long, so I've got a line in the center. I'm just going to use this chisel to mark the center so that when I heat it up, I'll be able to see that line. So I'm just going to hold this on the anvil. I'm pushing down with my left hand to hold that in place. Give that a little hit like that. Okay, we've got it marked. Now we're going to use our butcher tool. This is our butcher tool like this. I'm going to hold it with the bevel facing towards me. I'll heat this piece up, and we're going to give it a couple of hits, and this will separate the blade from the handle. So let's do that. Okay, I've got my piece heated up. I'm pushing my tongs against the edge of the anvil to help hold it in place. I can hold that with my leg. I've got the bevel facing towards me. I'm putting it in my marked groove there. I'm going to hit it, get it back in the right spot, hit it again, take a look at it. And forge that down. Okay, I'm going to take another heat. We'll get it a little bit deeper. We want to get about halfway. There, we've got it forged about halfway. You've got to be careful that we don't get it too thin right in here. We can always thin this down later if we need to, but that's pretty good right there. So now we're going to go on to the next step, and we're going to knock this corner back so we can forge the tip of the blade. Okay, we're going to knock this corner back. Now my hammer blows are coming from out here, from this way. You want to avoid hammering straight down. We want to knock that corner back. Okay, that's looking pretty good. We're going to take another heat and get it just a little bit sharper on the end. I'm working out on the far side of the anvil so I can get that end to a nice point. Now I'm just going to straighten everything out. There we go. Now we've got our blade started. Now this is going to become our cutting edge. So we're going to be working on the far side of the anvil and on the near side. So let's take another heat and we'll start on that. Okay, I'm holding my material out on the edge of the anvil here, and I'm holding it up at an angle. I don't want to lay it flat. I want to hold it up at a little bit of an angle, and my hammer is going to come down at an angle. You don't want to have your hammer come down flat. It's got to come down at an angle. So I'm going to strike along here. My left hand is going to hold that material in place. And as I do this, I'm watching along this edge here, and I'm also watching along this edge here. That's very important that you keep your eye on both those spots. Now let's heat it up again. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the near side of the anvil, and again, I'm holding it up at an angle, and my hammer is coming down at an angle. What you want to avoid is rapid blows, where you just start hammering. Hit it, take your time, and it's very important that you watch this edge and this edge with your hammer blows. You want to try to avoid hitting up in this area. That's just going to make a little bit more work for you. There, now our blade is formed. We've got it forged pretty close. I'm leaving it fairly thick on the end. You can forge thick and grind thin. I'm a little thick right in here. Knock that down. Okay, I think we've got our blade is forged close enough here. We're going to grab it by the other end and start the handle. Okay, we're ready to start drawing out the handle now. Now the first thing we want to do is hold this area up against the corner of the handle on the near side. And I'm going to take my hammer and I'm coming down at a little bit of an angle, and we're going to flatten this out. We need to draw this material out a little bit so we can thin that out so we can continue on with the rest of the handle. Okay, so I've got my notch on the corner of the anvil. Give it a hit, make sure it's indexed again. You want to avoid the really rapid blows until you get it indexed good. One mistake that beginners have a tendency to make is they get up here and they just start hitting really fast and not really looking at what's going on. You want to start watching what each hammer blow does, because you need to make an adjustment with each hammer blow. So let's heat it up again. We'll continue drawing out the handle. I've got it almost squared up here. I like to leave it a little bit thicker on this end because I'm going to put a finger guard on here. So now I'm going to go back here. We'll start at the beginning, or at this transition point right here, and start thinning this out. We want to get this down to about 1/4 of an inch square. So now, when you're drawing this material out, there is a couple methods you can use. You can just use the corner of the anvil. That'll help draw it out. You can use your cross peen, or if you have a straight peen or a diagonal peen, that will help stretch the material in one direction. You could use your peen and the corner of the anvil or the horn to do the same thing. We want to stretch the material this way and avoid stretching it sideways as much as possible. Again, you want to avoid getting this area too thin. So also use the corner of your hammer and hammer it like this. You see the little groove that puts in there? That works pretty good too. So now it's just a matter of drawing this out. We want to stretch this out to about 8 inches. Now I'm going to thin this end out. I'm going to do a little fishtail on the end here. This is going to become my finger guard. I'm going to thin that out. There's a lot of material there that will help get us our 8-inch length. So we've got about 1 inch to go. Okay, we're getting pretty close. I'm going to go back, heat this whole thing up and just kind of straighten this out. I'm going to knock the corners down a little bit, thin it out a little bit right in here, and we'll have our 8-inch length by then. There, we've got our 8 inches. We're pretty close. I'm going to take one more heat. Just want to clean this end up a little bit better. Try to get this nice and straight. So there, we've got it forged. We've got our 8-inch length. Now we're going to let it cool off. We'll let it cool off, and we're going to go up on the belt sander and profile this and clean it up a little bit, do what I call the rough grind. Okay, I've got the rough grind on my blacksmith knife done. I've got the blade profiled, the top sanded off a little bit. I've got the handle, the edges eased, sanded off, cleaned up, and I've got the thumb guard shaped and sanded. So it's time to bend up the finger guard, and then we'll bend up the handle. Now this would be the time that you'd want to put a twist in here if you wanted to do that. But I'm going to start with the finger guard. Let's get that done. Finger guard. I'm going to work that out on the tip of the horn here. Just bend it around, give it a nice shape. That's about all it needs. Now we'll heat up this area. We'll heat up this area and bend the handle over the horn. Now I usually just eyeball this. Just bend it around the horn here, out on the tip. Looks like I'm going to be a little short, so I need to just move my bent over. there's our handle. I hope this video helps you get started in your knife making and blacksmithing. If you have any questions, you can contact us at kensiron.com. Thanks for watching.